Hello interwebs, it is me, Topher Crossed, here to do a quick Dark Magician deck profile for you. It's going to be my first deck profile, but I recently got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! So I figured why not start with my favorite monster of all of the monsters, Dark Magician. I've been working on this deck for about, I would say, 4 or 5 months now, so it's a good deck. It's a little bit different than what most people are playing right now. Not to say my deck is better or worse than any of the other people. Everybody. There's a lot of good Dark Magician deck profiles on YouTube, but this is mine. Just in case I haven't explained it yet, the reason I'm going to go quick is because I'm not yet a YouTube partner on this account. I was on my other account, but I stopped using that one. I'm trying a new account, so I'm going to go ahead and start the Dark Magician profile for you guys, and I hope you enjoy. Now, like I said, I play the deck a little bit differently, but one thing that will remain the same is the start of the deck, which is 3 Dark Magicians. Obviously, you want to run 3 Dark Magicians at all times. It's your resource, it's the main monster you're going to have on the field, and it literally is the trigger for most of your cards. I have 3 arts of the Dark Magician. I have the new movie pack. You can get the gold movie pack cards. One of the promos that comes in it is the secret rare gold Dark Magician. Then I have the Arcana, sorry about the glare, I have the Arcana Dark Magician. That recently came out this year too. And then I have my favorite, which is the original purple Dark Magician. But those are the 3 there. Next up, you will want to run 3 of Magician of Dark Illusion. I don't think there is a Dark Magician player out there that won't tell you to run 3 of these guys. It functions as a Dark Magician, so basically you have 6 in this deck. Also, you can play it on your opponent's turn, which is the best way to special summon it, considering most of your traps and spells are going to be activated on your opponent's turn anyway. Its effect will always trigger pretty much every game you play, which is, it can be played on your opponent's turn if you activate a spell, trap, or effect. Also, it can reborn a Dark Magician, which is good because you can set up combos like Eye of Timaeus, which I run in this deck. If you have him, Magician of Dark Illusion, and you have Dark Magician out on the field, and you run Eye of Timaeus, you play Dark Magician, you have it both on the field, you activate Eye of Timaeus to pull out a fusion, and then you use him to reborn the Dark Magician back to the field, then you can XYZ summon right after that. So run 3 of him. He is a really, really good card. That's just one combo. I mean, you'll learn a lot of other combos in the deck. Unfortunately, I don't have time to explain them all. This next card that some people don't like to play, but I do, it is Palladium Oracle Mahad. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's a fantastic card. Basically what it is you draw into it, and then you can special summon it by revealing it. And if it dies for any reason, you get to summon a Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is an amazing effect. Most people will say it's a little slow, and some people run Magician's Robe or a card like that in its place. I only run 2 because you don't want to have it in your opening hand, obviously. But it is a really good card. I'd recommend running at least 1, if not 2. Next, we have Dark Magician Girl. This is one that many Dark Magician players don't run, which is what makes my deck a little bit different. But I run it simply because it helps me with a lot of my combos in this deck. You only need to run 1 because you can get out with Magician's Navigate, and you won't, for the most part, use it until later game. At least in my experience. Really early game, really late game, but usually I'll use it later game. Obviously, everybody knows the effects of Dark Magician Girl, and this is my favorite art. Next, we have 1, 2, 3 Chocolate Magician Girls. This card basically is going to be part of your draw power. Discard a spellcaster, draw a card. Also, it kind of acts as a monster born for your spellcaster as long as somebody attacks it. Its effect will trigger, and you can special summon a spellcaster monster from your graveyard. Also, it helps you get out level 4 XYZ plays. So that card, I would always recommend running 3 of. Some people run 2. I would, it's one of the best cards in the deck, so I always run 3. 2 Summoner Monks. You're only allowed to run a maximum of 2 in current Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules, but I would only run 2 anyway. A lot of Dark Magician decks have a problem with power. Your monsters pretty much max out at about 2,900 before getting into too much power. At least your spellcasters do. So I put him in the deck With him, you can summon cards like Dour Magician, but what you really want to summon is XYZ Rebellion Dragon to get some attack points on your side of the field and to swing. He's really easy. All you have to do is discard a spell card, then get Chocolate Magician Girl on your field, XYZ summon, which I will show you those summons later. But that's Summoner Monk. You know, if you're stuck in a hard place, he can help you out. Next is 3 Magician's Rod. This is probably the most important monster besides Dark Magician and Magician's Dark Illusion in the deck, mostly because Magician's Rod is your search. It'll let you search for all your Magician's Navigations. It'll let you search for all your Dark Magic Circles. Literally any card that I have in this deck with Dark Magician in it, with the exception of Eye of Timaeus, Magician's Rod will let you search, as long as obviously if it's a spell or a trap. But you always want to have one of these in your opening hand so you can get that spell or trap that you really need to get that Dark Magician out. Also, he has a, before I take him off the field completely, he has a effect to where you can, once he's in the graveyard, if you activate a spell or trap on your opponent's turn, you can pop him back to your hand, so he's good, he can be recycled, which is fantastic. Next up is the most important spell or trap card in the game, in my opinion, Magician's Navigation. Magician's Navigation allows you to special summon Dark Magician from your hand, and if you do, you can pull a level 7 or lower spellcaster monster from your deck, which is amazing. Also, it can negate from the graveyard if you have a Dark Magician on the field. When you use it, all you have to do is banish it, and it negates the effect of a spell or trap till the end of turn. So, swinging Dark Magician, somebody activates Mirror Force, pop one of these guys, you're good to go. Next up is 3 Eternal Souls. This card right here is an amazing card simply because it recycles Dark Magicians. It makes it to whether or not affected by spell, traps, or effects. You can special summon it from obviously the hand or graveyard, and then you can also get Dark Magic Attack and or Thousand Knives if you play it out from your deck and bring it to your hand. So all of those effects have one downside. Obviously, if it gets destroyed, all your monsters are destroyed, but there's ways, for instance, Magician's Navigation, to get around that. But I would always run 3 of these. Good, you know, for recycling your Dark Magicians over and over and over again. Another way, like Magician Dark Illusion. Next up, I run 2 Mirror Force. Mirror Force is just a good card to have in your deck. You can also run Drowning Mirror Force or any of the other Mirror Force cards, really. I just choose to do regular Mirror Force because it's simple. I can get my opponent's cards to the grave. Like I said, you can sideboard the other Mirror Forces to tailor to the opponent you're facing, but for now I have the original Mirror Force in the deck, and I run 2 just so I can usually get one in a bind. I wouldn't run more than 2, though. I don't think you'll really need it. The next card is what other people say is the most important card in the deck, and I agree it is definitely one of the most important. 3 Dark Magical Circles. They're very expensive, unfortunately, but if you manage to get your hands on 3 of them, run 3 of them. It lets you. It's a little bit like a Pot of Duality for Dark Magician cards. Not to mention, every time you play a Dark Magician, or once per turn when you play a Dark Magician, you can banish a card on your opponent's side of the field, any card on your opponent's side of the field, which is so helpful. And considering you can play Dark Magicians like quick spells in this deck, you can activate these on your opponent's turn and really stop some of their strategies. Always run 3, always run 3. Now this next card, you can either run 2 or 3. I run 3. Illusion Magic. This card allows you to pop a spellcaster on your side of the field, and you can bring 2 Dark Magicians into your hand. Extremely useful because you always want to have 2 Dark Magicians in your hand, or any Dark Magicians in your hand when you play this deck. I'm obviously probably going to run less when the new set comes out. I'll probably do an updated Dark Magician deck profile after Apprentice Illusion Magician comes out, but until then I'm running 3 of these because you always want to have either one in your opening hand or be able to search it. Because you want Magician's Navigation, Dark Magic Circle, and either those or Illusion Magic in your hand. You want to have at least 2 out of 3 of those in your starting hand. Next is Pot of Duality. Some people prefer Allure of Darkness. I use Pot of Duality because I don't have to banish, and for the most part, you will be playing your monsters on your opponent's turn anyway, so the Pot of Duality effect that you're special summoning, you can't special summon the turn you play this card, really doesn't matter. These will help you in a bind, early game. You'll probably never use them late game, but early game they will definitely help you in a bind. Next is Eye of Timaeus. This card is an amazing card. It helps me get out all my fusions. I play it in this deck because it'll literally get out any Dark Magician fusion that you want without having to have the other card. It's always a good card to draw into. But you know, it's a really nice card to draw into. You have your fusions that you can summon with it, and you can perform some pretty cool combos with it. Get Dark Paladin out, so I run 2 of those. There's no really reason to run 3 because you don't want to see it all the time. Fusions aren't really something you rely on in this deck, but I mean, your extra deck really isn't something you rely too much on in this deck. But you know, I'd run 2. Next is Dark Burning Magic. This card allows you to destroy every card on your opponent's field. If you have a Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, or I'm sorry, and Dark Magician Girl on the field, you have to have both. Now, the reason I play this is because when you're facing decks like Gemini's or something like that, where they get a lot of cards out on their field, you have Magician's Navigation face down, you have a Dark Magician in your hand, use Magician's Navigation, pull out Dark Magician Girl, and then use this. It's actually saved my butt, but you only need to run 1 because it is searchable with like Magician's Rod and stuff, so definitely 1 Dark Burning Magic. Next, 2 Dark Magic Attacks. You can run 1 to 2 of these, and 2 to 1 of the next card that I'm going to show you. I have 2 of this one of the next card I'm going to show you. Obviously, you want to run Dark Magic Attack in the deck because it's searchable by 6 cards in this deck, and you can destroy your opponent's entire spell or trap. Always, if you have a Dark Magic Attack in your hand, play it at the beginning of your turn. Lesson that I've learned before you start summoning or something, if you have a Dark Magician on the field. So 2 of those, because you want to be able to use it, you know, twice if you need it late game. Dark Magic Expanded. This card will allow you. It's a really nice card. It has 3 effects. One, it gives your dark spellcaster type 1000 attack, and if you have more than 1 Dark Magician on the field, it will negate, or you know, they can't be affected by spells and traps this turn. It's a way to get around the effect of Eternal Souls if somebody kills it, and then you know, it also makes it, if you have 3 or more Dark Magicians on the field, that people can't activate spells and traps in response to what you do. So I run 1 of these because it's searchable, but it is a nice little card to have in the deck. Not a lot of people run it for some reason. I love the card, so... now we're getting on to the extra deck. I'm going to pop down my first 2 Dark Paladins. The holographic one on top, what am I doing? 2 Dark Paladins. I only have 2 Eye of Timaeus, obviously, so you won't need 3. But this card is probably the fusion you're going to go out into the most in the deck. You know, you can negate spell cards, and if your opponent's playing dragons, you know, you get that extra attack power. So Dark Paladin, really easy pick for the deck. 2 Amulet Dragons, also for fusion. You won't use these nearly as much. I have 2 just so I can, you know, have 2 just in case I need them. But it's your powerhouse in the deck if you can get it out. With Eye of Timaeus, late game you can just you know, banish all the spell cards from the graveyards, and it gets plus 100 attack for each of those. So it's a fantastic card to run late game. But you won't rely on it too much, but you will get there sometimes to where you need to use it. Dark Magical Girl the Dragon Knight. That's hard to say. This card it's just a nice destroy card. It's another reason to run Dark Magician Girl in the deck. Obviously, you have Dark Magician Girl and Eye of Timaeus. Why would you not run this card? You know, you'll very rarely use it, probably even less so than Amulet Dragon. But when you do, you can start destroying cards. It's just another way to get your opponent's cards off the field, which is what a lot of this deck really is. Next is probably the most important card in your extra deck in this deck. Ebon Illusion Magician. I run 3 because you never know how many you're going to need at a time. You'll probably never even use more than 2 in a game, but just in case, I run 3. It's a really good card. You can probably switch out 1 for Big Eye if you have Big Eye. I do not. Just a heads up for you. But what it does, it allows you to discard an XYZ material to the graveyard, and you get to special summon a Dark Magician from your deck, or really any normal spellcaster type monster from your deck. And if a normal spellcaster type monster declares an attack, you can banish a card with him, which is really good for getting a lot of direct attacks on your opponent. So this card is a little overpowered. Obviously, that's why you want to run 3. Next up is Ebon High Magician. This card is also really good. You will very rarely use them in this particular deck, but just in case, you know, you have like that stray Mirror Force in your hand, you kind of want to trick your opponent. He lets you play quick plays and trap cards straight from your hand to the field on your opponent's turn. So that card is, you know, it's really good for those trap situations, and it's a good defender. Besides that, I really don't use him all that much, but he's good to have at least 1 in your deck. I run 2 just because I don't have, you know, I have 15, so might as well. Red Eyes Metal Flare Dragon. You will probably use this guy more than you use Ebon High Magician. His effect, basically when your opponent does anything, they lose 500 points, and it can't be destroyed except by battle. So this card is amazing. You won't ever use its last effect, but the fact that you can deal 500 life points to your opponent every single time you decide, or he decides to do anything, is amazing. So run one of these guys. You'll probably never run another. You need two. You can run two, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Next up is the main 4-star XYZ in this deck, Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. This card allows you to attach both of its XYZ materials, half the attack of a monster on the other side of the field, and then this card gains that lost attack. That's amazing when needing to power through a couple monsters if you don't have any other options. That's why I run them. I'm also gonna gloss over the next two level 4s that I run, because you'll pretty much always use XYZ Dark Rebellion Dragon. I run these two just in case I use my XYZ Dark Rebellion Dragon. They'll give you a little, boost. They get more attack for magic cards and stuff like that. So I'm just going to gloss over these guys because I'm running out of time. But run those guys, or unless you can get a other XYZ Dark Rebellion Dragon, run him. Last but not least, just in case you have two Magician's Rods out in the field and nothing to do, Leviathan Dragon. It's just a nice little, you get 500 attack every turn, you discard a XYZ material, and it's just a little power boost. I know there's probably better XYZs out there, I don't have them, but this guy, you'll very rarely use them, but you can use them occasionally, which is nice. So that's my Dark Magician deck. Go ahead and put those guys back right in front center. That's my Dark Magician deck. I hope you enjoyed. If you, like I said, I don't have a lot of time in these videos, so if you would like me to, if you have any questions about why I run the Dark Magician deck the way I do, feel free to comment below, and I will, comment back as soon as possible, answer as many questions as I can, so we can talk about why I run the deck this way. If I can get my friend to come over, I might play the deck for you guys one day, but until then, I'm kind of, stuck. But that's my Dark Magician deck. Thank you for watching my video. Like and subscribe if you haven't. I'm still new, so I think I have like 1 or 2 subscribers, but, it really doesn't matter that much to me, as long as people are, enjoying my videos. Like and subscribe. This is my Dark Magician deck, and have a nice day, guys. Topher Crossed out.